Namaste yogis and welcome. Today's class is a Yin and Yang Flow, so we're going to be working on creating heat in our bodies and then taking some yummy Yin poses at the end. We're going to be working a little on balance. It's that idea of bringing equilibrium that we can, nourish and cultivate in a Yin and Yang flow. So we're going to be processing, digesting, and then finding balance. And so let's make a start. We're going to come into a seated position. If you're not already here, it'd be ideal to have a block or something that you can use that's like a block. So maybe a book with some blankets over it, or just a cushion or something to lift your hips up a bit. We're going to begin by just coming into our spines in a little Sufi grind. So take your belly button and hover it over your left hip bone, and then draw it forward, and then bring it over the right hip bone, and then suck it in, bring belly button to spine, and tip your pelvis back. So it's like you're making a little circle in space with your belly button. Take these movements slowly, try and find your full range of movement, and it might be that you're just finding a little bit of movement here. You might be getting a bit more of a shoulder dip with your roll and that with your Sufi grind, and that's fine. We're just all in slightly different places in our body, so you might not get so much movement, and that's beautiful. Just be in the right place for your body. Don't worry about what anybody else's body might be doing. And then let's come the other way. So making the circle in the opposite direction now. Again, finding a little bit of ease and mindfulness as we move through our practice always, but especially now, just see if you can find that full range of movement. And by all means, if you find any place that feels nice to kind of just hang out in and move around in a little bit more, then absolutely go for that. Awesome, guys, and then just come back to neutral. Take your left fingertips down and reach your right arm up and overhead. Stretch up and out of that right hip. Keep the right seat bone planted down, whether it's on a block or directly on the mat or whatever props you've got underneath your hip. Don't think too much about going over. Think about lengthening up and keep this left shoulder away from your ear. Take a deep breath into your side body. Awesome, guys, and then come the other way. So right fingertips come down. Left arm comes up, reaching up and out of the left hip point, left seat bone, just regrounding down if it's lifting up, keeping this time your right shoulder away from your ear. Take a deep breath into your side body. Awesome, and then float both hands up and we'll take a twist. So twisting over to the left first, right hand comes to the outside of your left knee. Take your fingertips behind you and just draw your shoulders round. Maybe find a point to look at on the back wall or the space behind you. Steady drishti. Starting to lengthen the breath out. Maybe count your breath in and out. Come back to center, reach up. And then come the other way. So left hand to the right knee, right fingertips behind you, and find your twist. Remembering not to go too far, we're at the beginning of practice, so just finding ease everywhere. Definitely not feeling anything in low down in the spine. Most of this movement to be in the upper back, though you might feel a stretch in the lower back to the sides of the spine, and that's fine. Just no sensations in the lower spine itself. Awesome, guys, and then just unwind. Just make any movements you need to release any sensations that are still there and come off your props and find tabletop position. Let's just take a couple of rounds of cat-cow as we're here. So drop your belly, lift your tailbone, straighten your arms and kind of pull your heart through your arms. Look up without crunching the back of your neck. Come to a gaze point somewhere above the eyebrows. And then come the other way, so belly button to spine, squeeze your glutes, push away from the mat, drop your head. One more time in each direction. Drop belly, lift tailbone, lift gaze. And come the other way. Sucking belly button to spine, pushing away from the mat. Awesome, guys. And then just coming back into neutral position. Tuck your toes, press your hips back and up. Find downward dog just here for a moment, so don't worry about pedaling the legs. Just really bend the knees generously and try and bring your chest towards your thighs. Open up through the shoulder girdle. Take one deep inhale and exhale here. Awesome, and then look forward and just stroll those feet up to the top of the mat. Bring your feet hip-width distance apart. Grab opposite elbows and take a generous bend in your knees, finding ragdoll position. Maybe hanging here, maybe swaying a little side to side. Awesome, release those hands and start rolling one vertebra at a time. Keep that little bend in your knees and then straighten it out as you come upright and take some big shoulder rolls. Just find your full range of movement again in both directions. And then just settle in. So feet pressing down into the mat, palms by your sides, crown of your head reaching up, ribs tucking in. Really root your feet down into the mat and then draw the arches into the inner seam of your legs. Just take a moment to get present. And then inhale, sweep your hands round, high and up, look up towards your thumbs. Exhale, fold in. Palms down towards the mat, bend your knees if it feels good to do that. Inhale, halfway position, fingertips on the mat or hands to shins. Look to your eyebrows. Exhale, pull on your palms and step back into downward facing dog. As we're in our first down dog that we're going to be in for a few breaths, by all means pedal the feet a wee bit. Keep pressing weight into the base of the knuckles and drawing your shoulder blades down your back so that a straight spine is our priority, not straight legs. And it might be that then you land in your down dog with a little bend in your knees, or maybe the heels are urging towards the floor. It doesn't matter how far you get. Keep a bend in your knees if that helps you stay more spacious in the back. We're going to take little Ferris wheels with the hips. So come up onto the balls of your feet, rock forward, bring the hips forward. Plank position, bend the knees generously and push back. Chest towards thighs, bent knees, and then straighten them out, come onto the balls of your feet. And repeat, coming back. Let's add some breath. So inhale, we bring the hips up high and come forward. Exhale, bend the knees, push back. Last time. This time as you come forward, come into plank, high or low plank, so knees can be up or down. Take an inhale here, point your elbows behind you and lower all the way down to the mat. We're going to come into Cobra. You can take your hands a little bit wider than the mat and a little bit further forward and just gently push into your hands and find the degree of back bend that feels right for you. So you might be just hovering off the mat with a generous bend in your elbows. Maybe you're coming into a more straight arm version. Try and keep your head and your neck growing out of your shoulders. Keep broad across the collarbones. Take a breath here and exhale, lower down. Bring your hands back under your shoulders, find your way back into tabletop and push back into downward facing dog. From here we're going to thread the left hand through underneath the body and grab the outside of the right leg. So you might just bring your fingers towards the place underneath your knee. Maybe you can come down towards the ankle. You can pull into your bind here if you've got a bind. If you're just touching towards the knee, don't worry too much, you don't have to twist. But if you've got the space to twist and look a wee bit under your arm, you can. Keep pulling the left hip back towards the left side of the mat. And then we'll just come into the other side. So replace that left hand, right hand reaches underneath. Maybe you're just tapping towards the shin. Maybe your fingers are going around the back of the shin up close to the knee. Or maybe you're towards the ankle. It doesn't matter where you get to. Again, keep pulling your right hip towards the right side of your mat. Take a deep inhale here. Awesome, guys, release. And just take a big step or stroll those feet towards the front of the mat. Ardha Uttanasana, flat back position. Exhale, melt in, palms towards the floor. Inhale, stand up tall, sweep your hands round, high and up. Look up towards your thumbs. And exhale, hands down through heart center. Samastihiti, steady balance. So just get that steady balance again. Take a moment to pause. Awesome. Inhale, sweep your hands around, high and up. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, step back. This time finding plank position, high or low. Lower all the way or just half the way, hovering. Find your upward facing dog or your cobra. Just feel what feels right for your back. Take an inhale here, look up, and exhale, tuck toes, downward facing dog. Rock forward, hug your right knee into your chest and step up towards the back of your right wrist. Now look down your mat, make sure you're on your train tracks. Right knee's hovering over the ankle, spike the left heel away from you and rise up into Ashtachandrasana, high lunge and crescent lunge. Really press into your right big toe and squeeze your knee to the little toe side of the mat and then spike that left heel away from you. Tuck your ribs in and keep lifting through the fingertips as the shoulders move down away from the ears. We're going to take some rotational movement here, so you can hook your thumbs, press the palms together, or just interlace the fingers and start making a little movement with the hands. It's clockwise, so the hands come forward and then they just move around slowly, slowly. It's going to challenge your balance. Keep pressing into that right big toe. Keep spiking the back heel away. Awesome, guys. Last circle. Finding a breath pattern that feels good for you. And then release those hands. We're going to step forward and hug the left knee into the chest. So by all means, come forward, tap the toe down, and then bring the knee in. And maybe tap the toe back down and step back, high lunge. Maybe you want to do it all in one go, coming forward, bringing the knee in. And then hovering the foot back, go slowly, slowly, and land back in high lunge. Last time, find whichever variation works best for you. And then come forward. Last time, knee comes in. And find your way into tree pose, guys. So maybe the left toes come down and you make a little kickstand with your heel against your right ankle. Maybe you find the sole of your foot on your shin or your thigh. Wherever you are, press your foot towards your leg and your leg towards your foot. Grow tall. Embrace any wobbles, maybe smiling. Remember, it's not so serious and this is different on different days. You might be rock steady one day and a bit wobbly the next, and that's the same for all of us. Awesome, guys. Step that left foot down. Find your Samastahiti. Inhale, sweep your hands around, high and up. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, pull out your palms, step back. High plank or low plank, lower all the way or just half the way. Inhale, find upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, tuck toes and downward facing dog. Here just for a moment. Shafiya. Rock forward, hug your right knee into your chest and step up towards the back of your right wrist. We're coming back up into high lunge. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And then exhale, bring your hands into prayer. Take an inhale here, lift your chest, and then turn to the right. So you want to make sure that left hip doesn't drop down and the right hip come up. Keep your hips square to the front of your mat and just squeeze everything towards the right. If it feels good, you can stay here. Maybe it feels nicer to hook that left arm over your knee, finding the prayer twist. You want to kind of stack the arms and press very hard into the palms. Think more soft elbows and then gently draw into your bind, bringing your sternum round towards your chest. Keep spiking your left heel away, hovering your right knee over your ankle. Awesome, guys. And then just unwind and come back up. Bring your hands down to your hips, straighten your right knee and just step the left foot forward. Could you be in any more of an awkward place? coming into Parivrtta Trikonasana, revolve triangle. So keep your right hand on your hip, reach the left arm up, take an inhale. Make sure you've got your train tracks with your back foot slightly pointing to the side, but almost to the front, and then reach forward. So bring your left hand down. Maybe you get your fingertips to the floor, maybe you use a prop here. If you can't reach the floor, you don't have props, and your leg isn't bent, just come up into a kind of more of a pyramid version. Just be super mindful of what's going on here. You might feel like you can bring your left hand onto your shin, and that's fine, but don't push hard into the knee. You're going to have to engage through the back of the leg to give support to your hand if you do that. And then we're going to reach the right arm up towards the sky. Try and keep your hips level, so keep pulling your right hip in towards the center line as you find your twist in revolve triangle. Look up to your upper hand or look to the lower, whatever feels right for you. Last breath here. Awesome, guys. Bring your right hand onto your hip, and we're going to grow this into revolved Ardha Chandrasana half moon pose. So step onto the right foot, bring your left fingertips down, and bring that left leg up. If it feels good for you, you might be on a block. You might be hovering here, and that's fine. No need to go any further. If you want to go further, maybe that right arm comes up towards the sky. Take another breath here and then come back. Hand to the hip, step back, reach your arms up, high lunge. Awesome. And move through your vinyasa. Stepping back, take an inhale here, exhale, lower to the bottom of your press. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, tuck toes, downward facing dog. We're going to come into the other side, guys. So rock forward, hug your knee in towards your chest, and step up behind the back of your left wrist. Make sure you've got those train tracks again. You're on the ball of your right foot, left knee's hovering over the ankle, and rise up. Find your high lunge now as we move through everything on the other side. Pressing into the left big toe, spiking the right heel away, reaching those arms up, keeping the ribs knitted in, but lots of lovely length. Maybe you interlace your fingers here. If you do, find the other interlace at the bottom of your fist, or maybe you're hooking thumbs. We're going to take those circles in the other direction. So this time we circle to the left. Bring the arms around, and then to the right, and then to the left. Taking these in your own time, guys. These are challenging to the balance. So that's such an amazing movement for the spine, for the upper body. Last time. And then separate those hands. I'm going to take those knees into the chest. So maybe you're stepping forward, tapping down and hugging the knee in. Then tapping the foot down and stepping back, finding your high lunge again. Or maybe you're coming in all in one movement. Knee comes in. Slowly step the foot back. Last one like that. Stepping back. This time when after the knee comes in, we find our tree pose. So either the kickstand variation with your heel pressing onto your ankle. Maybe your foot comes to your shin or it comes to your thigh. Find a steady drishti and breathe deeply. Embrace the wobbles, reset as you need to. One side will be different to the other. And then step back. Find steady balance. Inhale, sweep your hands round, high, up, look up towards your thumbs. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, plant your palms and step back into plank, high or low, lower to the bottom of your arms. Inhale, upward facing or cobra. Exhale, tuck toes, downward facing dog. Coming into the left side again. Rock forward, hug your left knee into your chest and step up towards the back of your left wrist. Rise up, high lunge. Take a moment here to settle in and then bring those hands into prayer. This time we're twisting to the left. So squeeze the core muscles and bring yourself around to the left. Take a few breaths here. Try not to let the right hip drop down. Keep the right hip drawing back so the hips are squared to the top of the mat and you won't get so far in your twist, and that's normal. You can stay here or you can add in the bind, keeping those elbows soft into your ribs. Last breath here. Awesome. We're going to come back up. Take an inhale and bring our hands down to our hips and just step that right foot forward. We're taking our twist a wee bit further now, coming into revolved triangle, revolved trikonasana on the other side. So make sure you've got your chain tracks, right toe slightly to the side. Take an inhale, reach the right arm up. Exhale, reach forward. Bring that hand down to a prop or to the mat, or maybe to your shin. It's a straight leg pose, so find the variation that works for you. And you can just stay here, drawing the left hip in and pinning your left elbow behind you. Or if it feels right, you can come further, finding your full revolved triangle. Bringing the left arm up towards the sky, making a straight line with your arms down to earth. But just check in with your hips. Try not to let the right hip drop way down. Keep pulling the left hip back and towards the midline. Last breath here. Awesome, guys. We're going to come into our revolved half moon. So stepping onto the left foot, bringing the right hand down, maybe to the mat, to a block, or just hanging it there and balancing it. Left hand comes back to the hip and reach the right leg up, toes point down. If it feels good for you, you might like to start to open up to the side. It's quite a tricky place to be, so take your time. If you need to reset. Come into it as often as you need to, or take rest as often as you need to. Last breath here. Awesome, guys. Come back, high lunge. Take an inhale here and exhale. Bring your palms down towards the mat and take a vinyasa. If you prefer to come straight into child's, then absolutely do that and take a rest. Just settling for a moment in down dog. You can take another few breaths here, come into child, or we'll take another vinyasa. So coming forward, dropping down in halfway or all the way. Upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, tuck toes, downward facing dog. We'll do one more, rock forward. Exhale, lower in. Inhale, lifting cobra or up dog. Exhale, tuck toes, downward facing dog. A deep inhale and exhale, and just settle into your dog for a breath or two. And then bring those knees down. We're going to come into our yin poses, guys. So we're going to start in child. You might want to have your knees wide if you feel like coming into the hips a bit more. If you feel more comfortable with the knees together, then absolutely go for that. As we come into child, you may or may not get your forehead down to the mat. If you don't, and you have something handy that you can use, I would suggest bringing it under the forehead just to make your child's pose as easeful and as restful as possible. And of course, it doesn't need to be a block. Just some cushions underneath your forehead can be a really nice option. You can bring your hands behind you, or if you want to come into a bit more of a stretch for the upper body, you can reach your arms further. Start to really slow the breath down. Lengthen the breath out if you've lost your breath count or your connection to your breath during the more dynamic portion of the class. This is a great time to really connect in. Also be mindful that as the demands of these poses that are coming now are significantly less than in our standing asana, the mind, the workings of the mind, the thoughts, the comments, it's all going to be amplified. So just make that commitment to stay present and stay connected with your breath, and come back to your breath whenever you find yourself distracted.
Waking up my soul, waking up. Waking up my soul. Waking up my soul. Waking up. Waking up my soul. Waking up my soul, waking up, morning is mine.
Those feet still. Awesome, guys. Let's just make our way back up to find tabletop. If you've got any sort of residual sensations in the hips, it might be nice just to take some little hip circles in one direction and then the other. And then we're going to come into Sphinx. So just lay your belly down on the mat and bring your elbows directly underneath your shoulders. So we're going to take a moment or two to set up here. As you let your belly and muscles of your abdomen kind of melt into the mat, and you push into your elbows so that your neck and head aren't sinking into your shoulders, kind of sprouting out of the top of your shoulders. And as you do that, just to send your awareness feelers into the back, into the spine. So our vertebra that we want to be mostly working or opening up a little in Sphinx are in the lumbar and higher. So that's the back waist, not lower down towards the pelvis. If you feel something low down towards your pelvis, then just walk your elbows forward a little bit and then settle in again and see where the sensations are. So those vertebrae low down the back do not bend, they're fused together with cartilage. So we want to encourage movement and a little bit of spaciousness, a healthy amount of spaciousness in the lumbar predominantly, and then a wee bit in the thoracic, in the vertebra of the chest, the upper back. So take some moments to settle in and keep that gentle engagement going in your elbows the whole time. Closing down your eyes and getting back into that breath again. So the Yin and Yang practice, we're cultivating a little heat, a little warmth in the body, and in this practice we've been just mixing things up a little bit in the torso and then wringing it out. And it's part of an ongoing process, just discerning, churning things up and seeing what we can see, discerning nutrients from waste. It's a process that we go through with everything that happens in our perceptions and in our physical space. Bringing more energy and awareness to that process is so beneficial. It's becoming more aware of what it is that you're ingesting, be it physically, emotionally, psychologically, intellectually. We're being exposed to increasing amounts of information and opinion, and it's great in our practice just to take a wee step back, cultivating that sense of being the observer, but also being the discriminating observer, understanding what is worth retaining and what we can let go of. Finding that balance. Last breath here. Awesome, guys. Just rest down for a moment. My shoulders are definitely feeling it. If you've been engaging into the elbows, it will have been some work. So just give yourself a wee rest. Make a little pillow with your hands and rest your forehead onto it. It might even feel nice to kick the feet up, bending at the knees and just dropping them a little bit side to side, just releasing off to the back bend that we've been in. And then bring your feet down. Let's push back up into tabletop. And we're going to slide our right knee forward. We're going to find pigeon pose, guys. So the knee comes towards the back of the wrist, and the right foot comes out from underneath the back of your hip or your thigh or your glute. You want it to be sitting underneath your groin, or maybe coming a bit more towards the top of the mat. If you have props, I suggest using them, even if you're really comfortable in pigeon, which quite a few of you guys are. If you're comfortable in pigeon, bringing a prop into it can help you bring your foot a bit further up towards the top of the mat, and it just brings the invitation for openness into a slightly different place in your hip. So experiment with using props. Don't be shy of using props. They're an awesome aid to our practice. So from here, make sure that back leg is relatively straight, hips are square. Take an inhale and just lengthen through the spine, and exhale, come in any amount. So that might be just folding the hands down onto the mat. It might be bringing your elbows down. Maybe you're bringing your elbows down onto a prop. You're not all the way down to the mat. Maybe you've got the space to fold in a little bit more. Maybe forehead comes down, or you can fully flatten yourself on the mat. If you have a prop here that you can bring onto your head, then I encourage you to do that. Otherwise, it's fine to just let the neck and the head roll forwards, just relaxing the shoulders. Close your eyes and come back into that breath. You're counting your breath in and out. And if you're preferring to, you can use natural breathing in your own pauses. And just keep your awareness on your breath. Keep coming back to your breath if you find yourself in thought. And just trusting this process of discerning what is worth holding on to, what you want to consider nutrients, and what you can let go of, what is the waste. It's not something that you have to stress about or actively pursue. cultivating our breath awareness, by cultivating that sense of being the observer throughout our practice. It's a process that also naturally unfolds. We can, of course, bring more attention to it and awareness, but just by being the observer, cultivating that sort of quiet, peaceful attitude to your presence in the world, you can definitely notice more clearly, perhaps see a wider view. Just a few more breaths and begin on this side. And let's bring yourself back up. And then let's just find our way into tabletop, and we'll come straight into the other side. So slide the left knee forward up behind your left wrist. Let your right leg go long. Find the right place for your foot. Use props. And just try and get those hip points square, so both hip points in equal distance from the mat below you. Take an inhale, lift your chest, and exhale, come in any amount. And remember to treat each side and come into asymmetrical poses, especially in our yin practice when we're hanging out in the poses longer. It's especially important to treat each side as a brand new experience, not expecting to get the same sensations, to achieve the same shape, to even be in the same place. As you come into the pose, in terms of how you feel and how you respond to your place in the pose, it's all going to be completely different on both sides. And that's natural, that's appropriate. Don't try to move away from that. Just embrace it and use it as an opportunity to develop your curiosity and to develop your acceptance of yourself and what your body is offering you.
Morning is mine. Morning is mine. Morning is mine. Morning is mine. Morning is mine.
Just a few more breaths here in pigeon on this side.
morning is mine. Waking up my soul, waking up.
Okay, guys, let's come into tabletop position. So remove any props that we were using, put them to one side, and we're going to take some hip circles just to release anything through the hips and the lower back, so you can kind of add a bit of wiggling into this and a bit of rounding and arching of the back, just to release anything that feels like it needs releasing. Just take intuitive movement. And then we're going to come into seated, so just pop your hips to one side, feet to the other, and lie down. And before we come into Shavasana, we're going to take a little stretch for the hamstrings. So hug your right knee into your chest and bring your foot up into the air. It may be that you're just working on getting your knee straight and you're interlacing your fingers behind your thigh, and then you might be quite bent here, and that's absolutely fine. There's no need to go further. You might be straightening your leg out. You might have your calf and be gently pulling your straight leg down towards your chest. It doesn't really matter where you get to. You can keep the toes just moving towards the shin, so the ankle is flexed and it's the heel that's pushing up towards the sky. Take a deep breath in, a full exhale out, and another deep breath in, and a full exhale out, and then hug that knee back into your chest and let the leg go long. We'll do the same on the other side. Left knee comes in, give it a squeeze, and then extend the foot up towards the sky, heels pushing up, fingers behind the back of the thigh. Again, you might be bent, you might be, or very likely to be different on this side, so just notice what is being offered and gently invite your body to open. No need to stress or strain or reach into the body and grab what you want, or try and get the body to meet your expectations. Find a bit of ease. It is actually the quickest way to encourage your body to open, is by doing exactly that, encouraging. Telling, demanding, forcing, don't actually work, even if you don't injure yourself, and if you end up injuring yourself, that can set you back a long way, even a little injury. So don't be tempted. Just take what is being offered, listen to the wisdom of your body. Draw that left knee into your chest and let your leg go long. We'll come into Shavasana, guys. Final resting pose. So take up space on your mat, feet wide, arms by your sides, palms facing up towards the sky with the shoulder blades snuggled in. Just lengthen out through the back of the neck a wee bit, closing the eyes, letting go of any control of your breath now, of any breath counting. Just have soft, natural breath. And I encourage you to hit the pause button now and stay here for several minutes. If you can't do that, at least hit the pause button and stay here for a minute or two. You must get on with your day and just take a few more breaths in. Just releasing and relaxing down, letting everything melt down into your crown. And start to take some deeper breaths, take a stretch. roll onto the side of your body, whichever feels right for you today, and just rest your head on your forearms for a moment. I invite you to think of something that you're grateful for today. It can be big, it can be small. And take another deep breath and come up into seated position. We'll close our practice with a single chant of Om. You can listen or join in. Bring your hands into prayer, into Anjali Mudra. Inhaling Namaste, yogis. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.